Russell and Barbara Steger appear devout.
What is this?
Both of them were very religious.
Will you marry me?
Oh my God.
Their lives were built around the church.
She was a model mother, churchgoer, Sunday school teacher.
Behind closed doors, commandments are broken.
It was a risky thing that Russ had done and a wrong thing.
Who's that guy?
My husband.
There were a lot of secrets in their relationship.
And lives will be shattered.
Make sure the bullet goes into the barrel.
It's hard to believe that the person you're sleeping beside might actually murder you.
It would be pretty simple. Betrayal is betrayal.
Love may be blind and marriage bliss, but divorce is murder. High Point, North Carolina, where 29-year-old Barbara Ford has raised 2 sons with her husband, Larry, until her 9-year marriage is cut short by a terrible accident.
I had worked with Barbara's mother, and the rumor at the time was that he had died in a traffic accident.
It was ruled a suicide at first, and then it was later changed to an accidental death.
She didn't want to stay in the house, and so she moved in with her friend just down the street. And she stayed there until the children were out of school. And then she moved down to Durham with her parents.
Back home in Durham, Barbara starts house hunting for her and her boys during the summer. But she ends up finding a lot more than she bargained for.
Hi.
Hi.
I noticed the for sale sign. Could I make an appointment with your realtor?
Yeah, well, you can come and take a look at it now if you like. I'm Russell Steger.
Barbara Ford.
Nice to meet you.
30-year-old Russell Steger is a baseball and football coach at the local high school and a former member of the Army Reserves.
As a coach, he was everything that you kind of needed. He was tough, but he was also very compassionate and giving.
Russell oftentimes bought the uniforms and equipment for the baseball team out of his own pocket. He was just an outstanding, upright kind of guy.
Like Barbara, Russell is also newly single. He's been separated from his wife, Jo Lynn, for just a couple of months.
He was my first serious boyfriend. We were only married 3.5 years or so. Our lives kind of went in different directions.
Russell was going through a divorce and needed to sell his house.
Hello?
Hi, Barbara.
Yes?
This is Russell Steger. How are you?
Great, thanks. Did you get my offer for the house?
Actually, that's what I was calling about. I decided to keep the house after all.
Oh, I understand. It is a great place.
I hope you find what you're looking for.
Okay, bye.
Just a few weeks later, he and Barbara meet again.
She ended up buying a house on the corner across the street from Russ.
I guess you found a house after all.
Hi. How are you?
Great. Yourself?
Great. We're moving in today.
I know. We're like almost neighbors.
Yeah.
Do you need a hand with that?
That'd be great. Thank you. Come, I'll show you around.
Okay.
Soon, the two become more than just neighbors.
Thank you.
Barbara was hot after Russ. She kept going to talk with him.
I'm not sure what it was that drew each other together, but after that, it was just about anything that one did, the other did.
One thing that draws them together is their Christian faith.
They had both grown up in Baptist churches, and they were from similar backgrounds, families, and both of them were very religious.
Besides the church, Barb also shares Russell's love of sports.
They enjoyed the athletic events that Russ was coaching. Barbara attended those games and was a big supporter of his during that time.
She inserted herself into his life.
They seemed to have a very good relationship. They were affectionate towards each other. Wasn't unusual to see them with their arm around each other or holding hands.
The sex was an immediate thing.
She seemed like a librarian, prim and proper, but Russell confessed to me that she was wild in the bedroom. So that sort of took me by surprise. He was very satisfied and very happy at the time.
So happy, they get engaged after just a couple of months of dating.
Close your eyes. Come on.
Why?
It went pretty fast. It didn't take very long for them to start getting serious.
What is this?
Will you marry me?
Oh my God. Of course.
Yeah?
Yes.
Russ and Barbara had a whirlwind romance. It probably just, immediate attraction.
The ink barely has time to dry on Russ's divorce papers before he and Barb tie the knot.
It was quick, very quick. Russell and I divorced on one day, and they got married the next day. And I was really shocked.
A few weeks later, there's more to celebrate.
Honey,
Yep.
I have some good news.
What?
You're gonna be a daddy.
Are you serious?
He had been very excited. Children were extremely important to Russ. He wanted to have children of his own. I know that was a dream that he had.
Oh my, it's gonna be a little baseball player, right?
Well, what if it's a girl?
Well, she can still play. Oh my God. This is so great.
It's a dream that doesn't last long.
What's wrong? What's wrong?
I lost it.
She had a miscarriage. Russ's mom told me that Russ was very distraught when Barbara lost their baby.
I'll try again, all right? Don't cry.
It's a blow, but they pick themselves up and keep themselves busy, especially at the church.
Just about done.
Barbara was involved in a number of activities, children's types of ministries, working with senior adults.
That's brilliant.
I just made it.
I always remember that she would, be there to help if ever she was called on.
For the kids only.
Russ was involved in a whole host of activities as well.
Their lives were built around the church.
Great, guys.
And Russ adopts Barb's sons, now 6 and 11 years old.
He was very family-oriented, loved kids. He thought that, well, since we're all living together and their dad is dead, that he could step in and really be a good father figure.
All the way through.
They were great kids, and he was a great dad. He looked after those boys like they were his kids.
Scared.
Forensic psychologist Dr. Brian Russell and psychotherapist Stacy Kaiser see a family with a good shot at happiness.
Russell and Barb have a chance at being an exception to the fact that 70% of second marriages with kids end in divorce. Their chance at being the exception is that they have some of the things going for them that we recommend for all marriages. They have family support on both sides. They have common interests. They have a common faith tradition. And these are all things that add strength to the foundation of marriages.
And Russell has done something that almost any mother would be happy about. He has taken in her 2 sons as if they were his own.
Beyond faith and family, Russ and Barb find another way to connect.
Barbara and Russ love to shop for nice things. Russ always had kind of expensive taste. He loved beautiful clothes, nice jewelry.
They both wanted the nicest thing available and the best clothes available and all of that.
And their spending sprees don't stop at clothes.
They bought big new houses. It was new cars all the time.
Several of us joked that when it was time to change the oil in their cars, they bought a new car instead of changing oil. I mean, that's about how fast things escalated.
You want to go for a ride?
Beautiful.
And then they bought the place at the beach. They bought a boat. I couldn't run with them as much. I couldn't afford it on my teacher's salary. And I was wondering how he could, afford everything on his.
Friends speculate that Barb must have come into money after the death of her first husband.
Nice car.
Thanks. I just couldn't resist.
The only way that the friends could understand what was going on was they thought that Barbara must have gotten a huge amount of life insurance.
In sports, the International Basketball League was busy last night with 7 games.
But the life insurance payout, combined with Russell's teaching salary, is not enough to fund their extravagant lifestyle. So Barbara looks for a way to bring in some extra cash.
Can you start Monday?
Sure, I can start now if you'd like.
One of their friends, Harry Welch, owned a radio station, gave her a job as a ad salesperson, and paid her $150 a week base salary with commissions,
Soon after, friends are surprised to discover that Barb has a hidden talent. She's been secretly working on a novel.
Okay, guys, we have some great news. Her book got picked up.
Well, congrats, Barb. That's amazing.
Barbara had written a book called Untimely Death.
Barbara had turned it in to a publisher and got a letter back saying that it was accepted and would start receiving royalties from it.
And he's gonna do the illustration. We have a man of many talents here.
She would be getting an advance. I don't remember how much, but it was a substantial sum of money.
To celebrate, the couple joins the most prestigious country club in the area.
Yeah, good game, good game.
Life couldn't be any better for Russell and Barbara, the soon-to-be published author, until Russell discovers his wife's storytelling skills might extend beyond the written page.
He was unaware of all these debts, all these accounts that she had had.
They just created more turmoil in that marriage.
Russell and Barb Stager appear to have it all: a solid family life, a beach house, country club membership, and fancy cars. Thanks in part to Barb's publishing contract. But they're about to be unseated from the lap of luxury.
One night, he found this big box with all these bills that he knew nothing about.
Bills he thought had been paid by her.
He was unaware of all these debts, all these accounts that she had had.
Hi.
When confronted, Barb immediately gets defensive.
What's all this?
Just...
It's final notice. These are all
No, it's fine. I'm gonna take care of it.
How are you gonna take care of this?
It's okay. We're gonna be okay.
How are we gonna be okay? How are we gonna pay for this?
They weren't making the money to afford to buy this. Their bills kept piling up.
After a certain time, they sold the beach house, sold the boat, downsized the house a couple times. So I knew there were starting to be some money problems.
In addition to downsizing, Russell has no option but to go to his parents for help.
He finally called his parents, and said, I had no idea we owed all of this. And so that's when they stepped in.
Thanks for helping me out, guys.
His parents had to bail him out of it with money to get him even so they could start afresh.
Barbara reluctantly agrees to let Russell take control of their finances.
They've set it up so that Russ would be in charge and that all bills would come directly to a post office box.
But Barb is hiding something else Russell doesn't know about.
She got a letter from Doubleday Publishing Company. And during the letter, it showed that she was going to receive a large sum advance payment for a book that they were going to publish. And she took this letter to the bank.
She got a $30,000 bank loan based on that letter alone, and they deposited the loan money in her account.
The problem is that the publication of Barbara's book seems to be delayed.
Hello there.
Oh, hi.
So, some of the girls and I wanted to throw you a little publication party here at the club.
Oh, well, no one needs to make a big fuss.
We want to do it. But when is the book coming out?
Very soon. I'm working on it. It's going very well. Yeah. I think Russell wants to have a word with me.
Sure.
After a while, when it didn't come through, everybody asked, you know, when is it going to be? When's it coming out? When are we going to see it?
She would never say, well, when is the book coming?
Harry, the manager of the radio station, is getting suspicious.
Harry knew this person who worked at Doubleday, where the letter supposedly was from.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could give me some information on a book.
She said, we have no record of any kind of deal with Barbara Steger. There's nothing. And they had to break the news to Russ.
You looked into it?
Barbara received a rejection letter from a noted book publisher rejecting the transcript that she sent to them for the book. She took their logo and cut it off that rejection paper and taped it to another piece of paper and wrote an acceptance letter and signed somebody's name who doesn't even work there.
And that's not all.
Well, at least she still has the job at the radio station, right? Russ, she hasn't worked for me in months.
Harry had to say, Russ, she never sold a commercial. She never sold a spot, ever. You know, and I couldn't afford to keep paying her, but I was just glad when the book deal came along.
Instead of confronting Barbara, Russell keeps his questions to himself.
Russ would tend to sit back, kind of gather evidence, watch closely, and try and determine what was going on.
That just created more turmoil in that marriage.
Russell may be silent on the subject, but his friends are not. The grapevine is buzzing with speculation and gossip.
It ended the relationship with all of their church friends.
They were there, and then all of a sudden they were not. They gone to another church.
When Russ finds out that he's married to somebody who's a fundamentally dishonest person, there's been a pattern of dishonesty in the relationship, it is a marital emergency for him because it suggests that the foundation of a healthy, successful marriage isn't there because that's trust. And so he doesn't really have great options at that point. One option is for him to stay and to deal with the fact that the dishonesty is probably going to continue, or to get out and deal with all of the negative consequences that come with getting out.
People lie for a variety of reasons. In Barb's situation, I think there is a possibility that she is lying to her husband because she has lost one husband and she doesn't want to lose another. I also think it's possible that she's lying because she's worried that he's going to be upset with her and she doesn't want to have to deal with those consequences.
Instead of confronting this humiliation head-on, the couple choose to forgive, forget, and move on.
They were trying to patch things up.
Russell wanted to make it work, wanted a family, didn't want to give up.
Don't you look handsome in your uniform?
I gotta get going.
Yeah, me too. Said I'd be in early today. I don't want to be late.
Barb gets a real job as a secretary, and Russ takes on a second job as a part-time firearms instructor at the National Guard.
I just can't help it. It just happens.
Barbara even seeks out professional help for her spending addiction.
Her parents started paying for her to see a psychologist. She was a compulsive buyer, and everything she bought had to be better than the last thing that she bought.
I didn't mean to lie about all the bills and the book deal.
They agree to put Barbara's financial indiscretions behind them. But another kind of indiscretion will prove unforgivable.
Saw them in the car just passionately making out.
Russ was an expert marksman.
After 5 years of marriage, Russell Steger discovers his wife Barbara has committed fraud to fuel her compulsive spending habits. The couple agrees to pay off their debts and get their lives back on track. But before long, Barbara's replaced one form of cheating with another.
In Russ's book, it would be pretty simple. Betrayal is betrayal. And if you're betraying me in these areas, are there also other areas where you're betraying me?
Hey, I'm just gonna take the car to get it washed.
You know, there's a few things I need to do as well.
All right. Well, have fun.
One night, while driving home, Russell spots Barbara's car and takes the opportunity to investigate.
He found her car parked there. And so he sat there watching from across the street.
And saw them in the car just passionately making out.
Can I help you?
Russ, it's not what you think. Russ!
Russell was not a confrontive person. He got in the car and went home. He found out what he needed to find out.
Who's that guy?
My husband.
The affair drives Russell and Barbara further apart.
She blamed him for it, saying that he was not giving her enough attention.
He was just kind of crushed at that point, and I don't think he knew what to do at that point. He was very disillusioned.
Russell is no stranger to infidelity. He has a history of cheating too in his first marriage.
Russ was a work in progress, as we all are. He had made mistakes, some big, some major.
Barbara is certainly aware of Russell's past indiscretions, having met the girl herself.
Russell cheated on his first wife, and Barb knows this. First of all, it may have made her not trust him in that area, but it also may have made her think that she has a free pass, that there's a possibility that he's out there cheating on her, and so that she can go out and cheat on him. Even though Russell is upset that Barbara was cheating on him, he also believes in some ways that this is karmic retribution, that he's getting a payback for his past sins. And so he's sort of giving her a little more leeway because of that.
Their marriage may be hanging by a thread, but Russ decides he needs to forgive Barbara for the sake of the kids.
Russ, I'm sorry. I need affection, you know? You're never there.
A lot of people wonder, why did Russ put up with all this? I think Russ hung on because he'd adopted these children. He was afraid these children were going to be hurt.
One of Russell's reasons for wanting to stay in the marriage appears to be because he feels it might be in the best interest of the kids, who were Barb's kids, but he adopted them, and so he sees them now as fully his own. And I do think that there are many times in which it is a rational decision to stay in a marriage for the sake of the children, because I think divorce does tremendous damage to kids. And to the extent that the parents are able to keep themselves under the same roof, both available to kids, as long as neither parent is posing some kind of a danger to the children, physically or emotionally or psychologically, I think it can make sense.
Over the next few years, he and Barb recommit themselves to the church.
Russ told me she was at church every time the doors were open.
He would talk about God during workouts. We would pray before or after games.
Russell was still easygoing. but he was on edge. It looked like he had a lot on his mind.
Their jobs and careers are a useful distraction. Barb's now working at a world-class hospital as a secretary, while Russ gets promoted to staff sergeant in the National Guard.
He was the picture of the National Guard, and he was on the pistol team, competition team. He was a heck of a shot with a pistol. Russ was an expert marksman.
He even buys Barb a .25 caliber semi-automatic.
Might feel a little safer with this. It's not a big deal. You ever seen one of these before? Okay, I'll show you how it works. It's not loaded.
It was a gun Russell bought for her because she said she heard noises when he was coaching and was afraid to be alone at the house. So she wanted something to protect herself.
If you want to take the bullets out, you just crank it back.
Russ is concerned about keeping his family together, safe and secure. And he finds that his ex-wife lends a sympathetic ear.
It's been a while.
The first time we met, he didn't have much to say about Barbara. He talked about the boys, but he didn't really talk about his relationship with Barbara until the next time I saw him.
I can't believe she'd do that to me, you know?
He confesses to Jolynn that Barbara's affair has left a permanent scar on the marriage and on him.
He seemed like an entirely different person. Russ always had a light about him, a sparkle. He loved life. That seemed to be gone.
So what are you gonna do?
I don't know.
Have you tried talking to her?
And, you know, it was like the floodgates opened up, and he said, I don't know who I'm married to. I no longer know who she is. I thought I knew. A lot of people will emotionally or mentally leave before they physically leave. I think that Russ was in the process of doing that. He actually told me at one point that he could be gone in a weekend. So I know he was thinking about it.
He's even starting to regret leaving Jolynn, his first wife.
And at one time said, you know, he wished that they had stayed together and wondered if she'd give him another chance.
I was very respectful of his relationship with Barbara and his children. We made much better friends than we did spouses.
Russell does not act on his impulse. And after 9 years of marriage, he still fears for the future of their family. But more pressing is the fear of a local prowler.
There supposedly were some burglaries in the area. Burglaries are not uncommon in Durham, period.
Super Bowl Sunday is more tense than usual.
What are you doing?
I'm just putting my gun away. I just
You
got in.
scared me.
I didn't know you were there. I'm sorry.
That night, both Russell and Barbara take precautions, keeping a gun under the pillow.
So it was there, in essence, for protection in case somebody broke into the house in the middle of the night.
You all right?
It's a fateful decision. By daybreak, their worst nightmare will be realized.
I realized very quickly I was pulling up to the Stagers. At that point, my heart dropped.
After lies, betrayal, and infidelity, Russell and Barbara Stager's marriage has reached the point of no return.
Oh my God! Help me!
911, what's your emergency?
Barb and Russ's friend, Kevin Wilson, a paramedic and captain volunteer firefighter, gets a frantic 911 call.
My fire pager went off, so I got up, got in my car. As I turned and started looking at the numbers, I realized very quickly I was pulling up to the Stagers. At that point, my heart dropped.
I didn't do anything. I don't know what happened.
Someone get her out of here.
They found Barbara somewhat distraught. Russ was laying in the bed.
One first responder told me that it appeared he had a gunshot wound to his head and he was trying to control the bleeding. Had to basically suspend emotion and all of the numbers of things that were running through my head of, oh my God, here I've got a friend that's got a gunshot wound in his head.
He's got a pulse. We gotta get him out of here as soon as possible.
He's still alive. He's breathing. Not great, but he still had a heartbeat.
Barbara is beside herself.
She was like, why does he keep these guns? They're so dangerous. There are kids in this house, all this yelling and stuff, and they had to get her out of the room.
She was a distraction, and the deputies finally removed her out of the room so that we could actually continue to work on Russ. The information she was given right then was really not pertinent to our medical care. My main focus is trying to deal with Russ.
Russ is taken to the hospital, clinging to life. 6 hours later, Russell Steger dies from his injuries at the age of 40, apparently the victim of a tragic accident.
One of our best friends called me and said, Joe, Russell's been shot and killed. Something like that sudden, it's hard to prepare for. I considered him my best friend. It was a big shock that it happened, and it was an empty feeling.
It was a sad, sad day.
The police turned to Barbara to find out what happened.
She's laid in the bed beside Russ. Russ is laying on his left side facing the wall. She's behind him. When she stretches out, she feels an object under the pillow, and then realizing that it's a gun.
No! Oh my God! Help me!
As she's starting to move off the bed, the gun discharges. It was an accidental shooting. There was nothing to indicate otherwise. That was the premise we were operating under.
I'm confirming it's an accidental discharge. Unfortunately, these things happen a lot.
The police may accept Barbara's explanation of the shooting, but there's at least one person who does not.
Hello? Hey, Mom. Mom, what's wrong?
Throughout the night, I tried to reach the detective in charge. And meanwhile, I started typing up everything I could think of that Russ ever told me. And I stayed up all night doing that. And then the next morning, February 2nd, I started trying to reach the detective again.
Detective Buchanan.
It's Jolyn Snow. Could I stop by and see you about the Steger case?
I doubt it'll change much. It was an accident.
That blew me away.
Okay, well, I'm coming right now. Thank you.
Please, sit down.
First of all, Russ would never, ever have slept with a gun underneath his pillow.
He never put ammo in a gun unless he was ready to shoot it. It was always stored separately.
She doesn't persuade Detective Buchanan.
He was just thinking, well, this is just a former wife that's suspicious.
He didn't seem interested. He wasn't taking notes, and I thought, this is going nowhere. I'm just being blown off.
He was a safety fanatic with guns.
Look, the evidence supports Barbara's story.
But there's more.
Well, did you know that her first husband also died accidentally by a gun?
What'd you say?
I said her first husband also died accidentally by a gun.
Jolyn tells the police about Barbara's first husband, Larry.
Larry Ford and Barbara were married, and they had 2 kids that Russ adopted.
Barb and Larry were married for 10 years until an apparent accident leaves her a widow and her children without a father.
Larry Ford comes home one night, about 9 o'clock or so. Barbara went to bed. Then around midnight, Larry is cleaning Barbara's new gun and discharged. That's the story she told.
It was ruled a suicide and then changed to an accidental death.
They were so similar. Shooting in the middle of the night, nobody else around. Russ found out about the first husband's death when Barbara was writing the book about his death.
He began to question the story.
It's good, babe.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I like it. Can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, well, you can't see that for now, 'cause I'm still writing it.
She actually did write little bits of stuff about, you know, what a horrible thing it was that Larry had died accidentally, and what a dreadful thing it was that people were suspicious of her.
Let me write.
But as Barb's lies pile up, Russ begins to wonder if there's more to the book than meets the eye.
I suspect that Russ became suspicious about her first husband's death when he started discovering her other betrayals, that she was such a convincing liar.
I know this sounds crazy, but if anything happens to me, will you look into it?
You're just being paranoid. I'm sure there was an investigation.
Just promise me.
Of course.
I do not believe that he ever really thought that she would kill him.
It's hard to believe that the person you're sleeping beside, you know, might actually murder you.
The fact that Russ stayed with Barb even after he had the fear she was trying to harm him suggests that whatever the consequences were of leaving her, to Russ, were actually more frightening than the consequences of staying and risking the harm that he was worried about.
I believe that he was concerned, but not convinced. He didn't really think she would do it. And if we also look at Russ's history throughout this whole story, we can see that he's a guy who really didn't listen to his intuition. He had suspicions about her, but he didn't totally listen to those things, and he always paid the consequences.
Jolynn's suspicions compel Detective Buchanan to dig deeper.
So you're gonna look into it?
Absolutely.
That's when the real investigation began.
Police quickly confirm Jolynn's story.
We contacted the medical examiner's office to get them to research their files, and then they found the death of Larry Ford and showed that he died in a similar manner.
And they order an autopsy on Russ's body just before he's laid to rest. Barbara is kept in the dark.
She had no knowledge that was going to occur. When she went to the funeral home that morning, Russ wasn't there. He was in Chapel Hill being autopsied. Of course, he was returned in time for the funeral.
4 days after Russ's funeral, the police ask Barbara to show them exactly what happened on the night of his death.
No, he was lying on his side.
Barbara said it occurred. The bullet was struck Russ's back of his head on the midline and should have had an upward trajectory and should have struck him behind the right eye. The autopsy showed that the bullet entered on the midline and back of his head and struck him above his left eye, which would indicate that it was a downward trajectory, which means the assailant or the shooter was above and behind him.
I remember reaching out, and then
And when she reenacted it, the way she reenacted it did not match up with forensic evidence. She would have actually had to been sitting almost straddle on top of him to shoot him in the way things happened.
The forensic analysis persuades police and prosecutors that they have a case.
We went and arrested her at the house. She had this look of dismay on her face, like, I can't believe you're doing this.
We have a warrant for your arrest.
I took a great deal of pleasure in putting my bracelets on her wrist. A lot of the community thought we were nuts. The church had a fundraising to give her money to go her bond to get her out of jail. That was the Barbara they knew. They knew her as somebody, a church-going, Bible-thumping individual.
When Barbara's trial begins, she maintains her innocence. But prosecutors have a very compelling witness.
Somebody had picked it up and started playing the tape, and the son recognized it as that's Coach Stager.
Barbara Stager insists the death of her husband Russell was purely accidental. But after Russell's ex-wife tips off the police and they unearth some very compelling evidence, Barbara is charged with murder. And one of the key witnesses against her will be the very man she shot dead, Russell Steger.
Russ had a tape recorder in his desk in the gym at high school. And just before the trial began, a police officer called the detective bureau and said, a woman has called us and said that she has a tape recorder that her son found at school.
One of our baseball players found the tape recorder and took it home.
The last couple of weeks, every time I've turned around,
They heard this voice, and then the son recognized it as that's Coach Steger.
The tape makes for some fascinating listening. Russell describes the moment when he first became aware of Barbara's infidelity.
when I was coming back through after washing the car and getting it filled up, I saw our other car sitting at County Stadium out there in the parking lot.
Barbara had many, many affairs. Every male that I talked to described her as an nymphomaniac.
She came up with some guy. I couldn't see great, but I did see that they were in the car making out and stuff like this.
When the door closed, Barbara was entirely a different person. She loved men. I think at times was insatiable sexually. She lusted after men.
Unbeknownst to Russell, there was never a pregnancy or a miscarriage.
She was incapable of having children after her second child, but she never told Russ that. And on 2 different occasions, she pretended to be pregnant. I think she wanted to satisfy him because he did want a child of his own.
On the tape, Russ also questions the circumstances of her first husband's death.
My question is, did her husband, Larry Ford, accidentally shoot himself?
Finally, Russell gives the detectives what they need: incriminating testimony that demonstrates criminal intent.
The last few nights, during sleep, Barbara has woken me up to give me some kind of medication.
It's good for you. It's gonna help you sleep better. Just take it.
I have not taken it, placed it under the bed. Now, if I was already asleep at 4:30 in the morning, why would somebody wake me up to give me 2 sleeping pills?
The account strongly suggests an intent to cause harm.
I'm so thankful that he made that tape, because I think it was powerful evidence against her. And he was able to testify on his own behalf, and I'm amazed and awestruck by that.
Barbara profited generously from her first husband's death, and financial gain appears to be the motivation for the death of her second husband as well.
She'd gotten all these loans that Russ didn't know about. She was making all these payments, and she had gotten Russ's checkbook and written these 2 checks.
One loan would come due, so she would obtain another loan to pay off that loan. They were about to foreclose on all the loans, and they would have notified Russ, since Russ was a co-signer, but he wasn't a co-signer.
She forged his name on the paperwork, and Russ didn't know. He didn't know how in debt they were.
So she killed him, 1, for the insurance, and 2, to keep this from coming out about all this money she owed.
I think that was her motive, pure money and greed.
While it sounds odd to say, there are people that would think about killing someone in order to save themselves from their financial problems. And that may have been what Barb was trying to do. Things were very complicated for her. She was having problems with her husband. They were in financial ruin. And so it may have been that she thought to herself, if I can just get rid of him for real, it's going to solve my problems.
One of the things that we know about sociopaths is that they tend to want what they want when they want it. And so they do what it takes to get what they want right now. Like, for example, not paying bills and creating this unsustainable financial situation that is going to be a house of cards that will collapse at some point down the road. But they're not worried about that right now, because if and when the brink of collapse is there, they'll just find some exit strategy.
In August 1989, Barbara Steger is convicted of the murder of her husband, Russell. Her sentence, death by lethal injection.
The jury took about 45 minutes deliberation to find her guilty, and then they came back with the death penalty.
In 1993, the state Supreme Court overturns the ruling, and Barbara's given a life sentence instead. And while it's never proven that she murdered her first husband, Russell's supporters remain suspicious.
It's very important for Barbara to remain behind bars because, frankly, I think she's a serial killer. She should not be allowed to walk among us again. She's too dangerous.
Apparently, she doesn't believe in divorce. She'll just do like a black widow spider. She'll kill the spouse and move on.
While Barbara's older son has already left home, her younger son, age 14, goes to live with her brother. For those who knew and loved Russ, his absence is still sorely felt.
I remember Russ smile, fun-loving, easygoing, patient, wonderful friend.
Russ loved life. Oftentimes I'll try and enjoy things twice, once for me and once for him.